Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Kmart, and I want to talk about some basketball. And today, we are getting into the home stretch here of our early off-season preview, asking a handful of questions for each of the teams in the league in the run-up to free agency and the start of a whole sort of slew of signings and trades and all sorts of moves of that nature. So, trying to just sort of put out a video per team here to get some folks ready for what each team might be looking at in terms of their needs and their issues. So we are going to take a look at one of the Eastern Conference squads here. We are looking at the Orlando Magic today, a team that has been kind of bad for a little while here. They have been rebuilding for several years now. The question is, are they ready to stop the rebuilding process and try to compete? But we'll get to that in just a moment. First, let's take a look at some of the stats for the squad. We'll throw those up on the screen right now. You can see their overall record here in the regular season, 34-48. That landed them in 13th place in the Eastern Conference, 4th in the Southeast Division, and obviously they miss out on postseason action. So unfortunate for them, but not really surprising. In terms of their ratings, though, some good and some bad. The bad is the offense. Offensive rating was ranked 26th in the league. Their defense was significantly better, still not quite able to crack that halfway mark at 16th in the league by defensive rating. And obviously that means that their net rating is in the lower third as well at 24th, but at least their defense was improving a little bit compared to previous seasons. But all of this comes with the team playing with the 13th pace in the league while having the 26th highest payroll. So not exactly shelling out a whole lot of money here in Orlando, which is obviously part of the reason why they've been rebuilding for so long. But we'll take a look at some of the additions and losses here for the Orlando lineup. It is, as of right now, all additions. No losses just yet, I don't believe. But in terms of who was added, a couple of guards taken in the draft, Anthony Black and Jet Howard, were both drafted by the Magic. And they recently announced that Goga Bitadze, I hope that's correct, had his team option picked up here. So two guys being added to the lineup, one returning from last season, and obviously, as I said before, no losses for this lineup just yet. But that means we can get straight into the questions here for Orlando. Question number one, is the rebuild officially over? And that's kind of a complicated question, but we'll try to break it down a little bit. Orlando has been anywhere from just straight up bad to kind of just meh, kind of just okay for around a decade now. But the question is, has the time finally come for this squad to make a push, to genuinely try for something, whatever that something is? Maybe it's just a play-in spot even, but some sort of push. The assets and the talent that this team has been coveting for so long appear to be moving in the right direction right now. Paolo Banchero notched a Rookie of the Year award. Pieces like Franz Wagner and Wendell Carter Jr. are solid on the interior, and your guard core of Markelle Fultz and Cole Anthony is, seemingly healthy and playing decently. You just added to that guard core as well with some of your draft picks like Anthony Black and Jet Howard. So you're shoring up talent everywhere. Add on to that the fact that you've got role players like Gary Harris, Jalen Suggs, Terrence Ross, not Terrence Ross, Mo Wagner, almost all of whom are still under contract. I think Mo is the only person who is not. And the Magic might be ready to do some damage in the league for once. They've kind of been sitting on the sidelines for quite some time. The truest test of where the front office thinks this team is at the moment was kind of shown in their draft strategy a little bit here. They had the 6th and the 11th picks. There was some thought that maybe they look to move one or both of those picks to try and bring in some help, but they didn't, right? They used both picks, and they used both of them on guards as well. I keep sort of mentioning that, but that was a little bit unexpected. So one of two things happens. Either they are genuinely confident that one of Black or Howard can be an immediate contributor, or those picks mean that they're still kind of collecting assets at this point, which could indicate that they're still sort of looking to build, still looking for the rebuild process to continue, and they maybe kick the can down the road a year, make a decision this time next year. Of course, the fact that they take 2 guards when they already have, 3, 4, 5 of them on the roster could be because they're looking to move some of those guys. Now, the fact that the draft picks were used and not traded probably means that if they're moving someone, it's a guy already on the lineup, because as we mentioned in some of the previous offseason previews, it gets a lot more complicated to trade a guy that you just used to pick on as opposed to just trading the pick on or before draft night. So the Magic are kind of giving mixed signals here. They could still look to make something happen, but they could also at this stage just continue to be patient. That probably means another season with a sub 500 record unless somebody really breaks out, but they will still retain assets. They'll get more young players, more talent that could potentially be used as leverage later on down the line. So maybe not what Magic fans want to hear, to basically say it could go either way, but it could. And no one but the Magic front office really knows which direction they're looking in at the moment. But I mentioned, the Magic might continue to lose games unless someone has a breakout. That leads us to our second question here. And that question is Paolo Banchero ready for another step forward? Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy because Banchero is about to start his 2nd season in the league. Last season, he was a rookie, but he came on strong and basically lived up to every reasonable expectation that the Magic could have had for him. He averaged 20 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game. He shot around 42% from the field. He played all but 10 of the team's games en route to his Rookie of the Year trophy. So he was exceptionally good for the Magic. But the question now will be whether he can match or even improve upon that performance in his sophomore season. He showed incredible promise, but now can he show even further growth as he moves into season 2? Banchero and the Magic do have the benefit of him not being the team's sole option on offense. He's obviously one of, if not the leading scorer on the team, but he's not the only one capable of putting the ball in the basket. The team had 5 guys in the previous season who averaged double-digit points per game. So they were able to distribute the ball. They were able to get it around to everyone. They were not overly dependent on one guy, but you still get the impression, looking at the way that the team played, that the Magic are being set up to go as Paolo Banchero goes, right? He's not the only person on the team who can go and get you points, but he is kind of emerging as their leader at the moment. So how much will he improve? Frankly, I don't expect to see a massive increase in his scoring. He already averaged 20 points per game as a rookie. So maybe he bumps that average up a couple more points per game. If he can get it anywhere into that sort of 22 to 25 range, that would be incredible if he can do it efficiently as well. The major points for Banchero to improve upon here would be his defense and his efficiency, as we mentioned. The Magic were in the bottom half of the league in terms of their defensive rating and their rebounding, and that simply should not be allowed with the guys that they have on the roster. Banchero is a part of a front court that has size, that has athleticism, that has length. You've got guys like himself, you've got Bol Bol, you've got Wendell Carter Jr., you've got Mo Wagner, and hopefully a healthy Jonathan Isaac as well. All of those guys sort of either under contract or potentially looking to negotiate to be re-signed. So we know that this group, those guys I just described, are capable of scoring in the paint. That part's not really a big concern. But they should also have that same size and reach that allows them to score, that allows them to just gobble up rebounds and keep opposing squads out of the lane, right? And they did flash a little bit of that. They had the 7th fewest points in the paint allowed per game. So we know that they're capable of it in spurts of defending the interior. We just need to see them do it consistently, sort of night in and night out. So the possibility is there, but as we said before, it seems like the Magic will go as Banchero goes. So if he commits to raising his effort level on the defensive end, to being a defensive leader here for this team, then you've got to believe that his teammates will not follow his example. That makes it sound like his teammates are a little too dependent on him. But you would think that extra effort from a guy who's leading the team in scoring on the defensive end would inspire other guys to do something similar. So on the defensive end, it would be nice to see some improvement there. In terms of the efficiency on offense, Banchero needs to get a little bit better from beyond the arc and from the free throw line. The free throw part isn't honestly that bad. He shot just under 74% for the season. So the way he plays, he's going to get hit hard. He's going to be sent to the line if he wants to play in the post. And to really take advantage of that to the highest degree, you need to be able to make your free throws. So, if he could get that shooting percentage from 74 up to maybe somewhere over 80%, then the Magic could really exploit his sort of size and physicality down low if that's the way that they wanted to sort of run their offense. The three-point shooting is a little bit worse than the free throws. And normally I wouldn't really stress it that much. For a 6'10" rookie to not have the sort of outside stroke of a stretch 4 here. But Banchero shot just 29% from 3. And he averaged 4 3-pointers per game. So this is not the occasional sort of triple that he's throwing up. He's taken 3 or 4 of them per game. And he actually shot the second most threes on the team last season, only behind Franz Wagner, who shot 36% compared to Banchero's 29%. So it's kind of nitpicky for sure, but that's what happens. When a guy wins Rookie of the Year, you have to get a little nitpicky to find aspects of his game that still need to be improved upon just because he was so impressive in that first season. But there's definitely some points that Banchero can continue to improve on, and if he does so, I have to imagine the rest of the Magic improve alongside him. So we'll see where his development goes here in the offseason, but we talked about Banchero needing to play more efficiently. That leads into point number 3, which is as a whole for the Magic, more or better efficiency on offense is needed, right? We just took some time to talk about the play of some of the Magic's young players, maybe hype them up a little bit, right? But now it's time to bring that back down to earth a little bit, dump some ice water on all of that, because there are some serious issues here with this team. The issue is that they're pretty awful on the offensive end of the floor, and they cannot afford to be this bad moving forward if they want to have any chance of improving as a unit. To take a look at some of their worst stats here, they were bottom 5 in points per game, bottom 5 in field goals per game, bottom 5 in 3-pointers per game, and bottom 5 in assists per game. They were also in the bottom 10 in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and turnovers. They were legitimately one of the worst offensive teams in the league from a statistical viewpoint, and that has to change this season for the team to be able to do anything positive whatsoever. So, yeah, to a certain extent, this is kind of understandable that the offensive numbers would sort of go down a little bit, because all of your top 3 scorers are kind of big men, all guys in that small forward to center range. But we sort of talked about this before with other teams that like to slow down the pace a little bit. A slower and more post-oriented lineup only works if you are efficient enough to win on fewer possessions, or so strong defensively that you make your opponents miss even more opportunities than you do. The Magic don't have that. Their offense is obviously one of the worst in the league, and while their defense was better than their offense, as we stated at the top, they were still 16th in the league in defensive rating. So they were far from being an elite squad. So that is something that they sort of have to address here. The defense needs to improve, obviously, but the offense is pretty dire. So we'll have to wait and see if the Magic can improve on really either side of the ball this next season. Slow development and slow improvement is part of the reason why the Magic have been kind of on the outside looking in for the better part of a decade here, but maybe they're starting to trend in the right direction. Maybe they do use some of those assets after all to try and swing for a big time name. Who knows? But the Magic have a lot of problems, but they also have a lot of options in front of them to try and address those problems. So, as I said, we'll have to see. But there's a lot to be excited about with the Magic. Maybe not in terms of an immediate push to be a contender, but at least in terms of having young guys who are showing a lot of promise and a lot of talent. So that may just have to be enough for the time being, but that will do it for the Magic. Please feel free to let me know what you think about this team. What did you think about going sort of double guards in the draft? Do you think that they make any sort of big move here to shift assets away? How much do you think Banchero will improve, both in terms of his own game and in terms of whether or not he can elevate the play of the rest of the team as well? But yeah, feel free to let me know what you think. For now, though, thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you later.